24th of, rather the 25th of July, the year 2024. Indeed, it's a day that we have much and more lined up for you from the political scene all the way. A lot is happening. Remember, this is a day that we have seen a lot of demonstrations across the country where the Gen Z are marching all the way just to present their petition and, of course, some of the areas, their grievances to the head of state. And it's also a day that we have witnessed a lot of activities in terms of political space. From now, the official withdrawal of NARC Kenya from the Azimio coalition, a once a vibrant party, and this marks the beginning of the end of what many might interpret as, you know, the divorce that comes at a very critical moment in Kenya's political space, at a time when 4 of ODM top leaders, of course, have been nominated to the position of cabinet secretaries by President William Ruto. Could this be the reason why probably we are seeing some of this unprecedented development? And remember, while this is happening, the ODM party has maintained firm stand that the members did not receive the blessings of the party in regard to this. And this begs the question, so who to trust in this regard? And what is going on with the Azimio la Umoja? And of course, can the ODM party leader Raila Odinga be trusted in his word? He's a man that has been seen at one point firing hot and sometimes shooting very cold. And of course, with this latest development in the political scene, now it's a very, very, very precedented time for Azimio. And of course, many people await to see how the event will unfold as far as the political landscape of the country is concerned. And of course, let me just take you through what is happening currently. So, Azimio House could probably be on fire. So what's happening to Azimio, and when did the rain started beating once a vibrant coalition? Well, the beginning of what many will perceive to be the end of Azimio began with the talks of a national dialogue from President William Ruto that was orchestrated by the Gen Z demonstrations that happen across the country. Well, then this necessitated a move to form a national dialogue that will bring a very broad-based discussion from political parties, and of course a move that the Gen Z and some of the opposition leaders, I'm talking about the Azimio core principle led by Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua, and of course Eugene Wamalwa, who were very categorical in their demand, and they say that they were not boarding. And this was now another turn of event. At one point, Raila Odinga was firm in some many will interpret as their demand before now joining the table of the national dialogue. Well, this split, and of course many saw that this is just an ODM move alone after at least 3 parties from the constituent core principles disintegrated, and of course they stand alone in that particular decision. And of course that left, or rather leaves, ODM as the only party within Azimio that were ready to actually join the dialogue table, and that came at a price. Well, in light of these events, and of course the latest to pull out from this Azimio la Umoja is the NARC Kenya led by Martha Karua, who in his statement issued through X, they were very categorical in their statement. And of course, in light of this, Karua of course said that after 4 of ODM members nominated as CSS in the nomination of 4 ODM top official into William Ruto's reconstituted cabinet secretary, then in light with the demand of the Gen Z, it was only prudent for NARC Kenya officially to write their withdrawal from this Azimio coalition officially. A statement that was communicated to the whip, and of course we await to see what will happen. Very critical questions are being asked. First, did the 4 members get the party's blessing? And if not, then what next for these 4 members? And can really the ODM and Mr. Odinga's word be trusted, given the time that we have seen the political temperature rising at a time when many see, or rather many has perceived the ODM party boss as a man who sometimes shoot hot and called very critical questions that we'll try to explore in our subsequent bulletin. It is a discussion that we'll be having a little bit later on our broadcast tonight. But first thing first, our top stories tonight.
Tonight, we are not in bed with the government. ODM denounced claims of working with government despite 4 of its members nominated for cabinet secretary's position. We are not boarding. Karua's NAC Kenya pulls out of Azimio amid talks of a split in once a vibrant coalition. Also tonight, Kindiki is here to stay. Ruto defend his choice of cabinet nominees, praising Kindiki for tackling banditry in the troubled Kerio Valley. Plus, the shining Auma. KUTV recognized yet again for its exemplary storytelling ability in the Nope Awards.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Auma Evans.
Right, our sign language interpreter tonight is Samuel Kelo. Remember, you can join in our discussion tonight. You can talk to us on all of our social media platforms. We are coming to you live on KUTV, that is on YouTube at KUTV Live. You can tweet us on X at KUTV_Kenya at Auma Evans. Remember to use the hashtag Primetime News. So tonight we begin Primetime News with the latest. Well, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, together with other Azimio co-principals, have distanced themselves from the ODM's move to join the government. Their statement comes at a time when ODM has distanced itself from 4 key ODM leaders who were nominated by President William Ruto to form part of his reconstituted cabinet. The party, in a statement, reiterated its firm stand against the broad-based government of the national unity, condemning the nominees and emphasizing that they're genuine reforms over recycled politicians.
The simple truth is we are not interested. And if you want to put it in the first person singular, I am not interested. Okay? This other thing is a matter for ODM. We have addressed you today as Azimio La Umoja, One Kenya. The coalition as of today has not received an indication or a notice to the effect that ODM will be pulling out or are pulling out of the coalition. If that happens, we'll deal with it at that time.
These young people have decided to die on their feet, not to die on their feet, on their knees. And they are done with William. Some of them are confessing they voted for him. And they are saying they are done with him. Kanisa, ni wakati wenyu wa kusikika. Your followers are the ones who are being massacred. We want to hear your voices. This is not time to keep quiet. William Ruto, you have lost it.
Still matters politics. Although Ruto and Raila handshake is not yet official, recent moves indicate that the two leaders may have entered a truce. And as KUTV's Pauline Dungu explains, the first was President's move to support Raila's bid for African Union chair, and now the selection of cabinet secretaries, which saw at least 4 ODM members nominated for cabinet secretary's position.
Has denied any working arrangements with President Ruto, saying that he is not after another handshake. This comes after recent moves by President Ruto. First, the move by Ruto to support Raila's bid for the African Union Commission chairmanship. Additionally, in recent times, Raila aired his support for some measures taken by Ruto during the unfinanced bill revote, a move that many, especially the Gen Zs, had criticized. With Ruto's latest nomination of cabinet secretaries, a fair share of Azimio coalition names made the list. Taking a look back at Raila's political career, it's evident that coalitions and cooperations with the governments of the time is not a new thing. Back in 2002, Raila first entered into a coalition agreement called a cooperation, where he secured the influential energy docket, an appointment that shocked the opposition. Fast forward to 2007 general election. At the onset, the election seemed like a two-horse race between the incumbent late President Moi Kibaki and Raila Odinga. The election, strongly marked by ethnic hostility, took place in December 27th, with the late President Moi Kibaki, who was running on the Party of National Unity ticket, was announced the winner, a decision the opposition did not agree with. This move would immediately turn deadly. In efforts to quell the unrest, negotiations were held between the two parties, with Raila joining in the government as the Prime Minister. August 8, 2017, President Uhuru Kenyatta under Jubilee Party was re-elected with 54% of the vote. Raila Odinga, now under a new political party called Azimio la Umoja, refused to accept the result and, as always, contested in the Supreme Court. Later on 9th March 2018, Uhuru Kenyatta agreed on a truce dubbed the handshake between the opposition leader, ending a long-time political feud. Dongo Pauline, KUTV.
All right, in the early days of his presidency, when President William Ruto, together with his deputy Rigathi Gachagua, vowed not to engage ODM leader Raila Odinga in a handshake, at the same time, the opposition leader swearing to never go back, or rather to go to bed with the government. Fast forward to July 24th, 4 ODM lieutenants were tapped for cabinet roles, exposing the Kenyan political scene as a game of hoodwinking the masses and fumbling at the slightest imagination of power. Our very own Munene Weru reports.
The Kenyan political scene has for generations bear the ugly tag of being a dirty game among the political elite, who marvel at the slightest chance to grab up positions of power and even go against their sworn principles in pursuit of power. And at the end of it all, the Kenyan populace is left mouth open in disbelief. The political playbook played out perfectly yesterday when the names of 4 ODM lieutenants were mentioned among the cabinet secretaries nominated by President William Ruto in what has been perceived to be the closing stages in the formation of a government of national unity.
I commend the leadership of diverse organizations, both in public and private sectors, including political parties, for their encouraging response to my outreach to consult on forming a broad-based government.
Whether you call it a government of national unity, a coalition government, or even a handshake government, the bottom line remains that ODM Chair John Mbadi, both the Orange Deputy Party leaders Wycliffe Oparanya and Hassan Joho, together with the National Assembly Minority Leader Opiyo Wandayi, have been tapped for cabinet positions. This is despite the ODM diehards maintaining hard lines in the past, swearing to never go in bed with government.
Mimi Hassan Joho nikitaka kuongea, mimi I don't even dream of engaging with them. Ati huyu akitaka aje ongee sio na mimi niongee na Ruto nini? Mimi nikamtafute atanipa nini? Wilbaro. Nilipeleka Wilbaro mimi la kimtaani la kucheza nalo zamani.
The Honorable James Opiyo Wandayi, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, Hassan Ali Joho, Ministry of Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs, the Honorable Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya, Ministry of Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise Development.
Upon their ascent to the House on the Hill, the presidential brethren of William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua vowed to shun talks with the opposition, parting precedence with a record 4 former governments, which made amends with the long-standing opposition chief Raila Odinga.
Na mnajua ile jamaa ya maandamano wameweza kusubua huyu rais. Ati anasema ati anataka atibiwe na handshake. Unaweza kubali? Unaweza kubali? Kwa hivyo tumemwambia huyo jamaa atendee. Hiyo handshake ndio iliharibu serikali ya Uhuru Kenyatta. Na huyu rais wetu hapana mjinga, hawezi kubali kuleta watu haribu serikali yake.
Waliletea fujo Moi mpaka wakapata cooperation. Wakakuja wakasumbua Kibaki mpaka wakachukua nusu mkate. Wamekuja wakazungusha Uhuru hapo mpaka wakaenda na handshake, program yetu ikapotea, BBI ikaendelea, tukazama, tukaingia kwa madeni. Sasa mimi nimewaambia, hii serikali hii, mimi nawaambia hii serikali ni ya mahasla. Hakuna nusu mkate, hakuna handshake, hakuna hiyo borojo.
As a way of charting the future from the current situation we are facing, I welcome all the leaders here, and I have heard what they have said this morning, and all other stakeholders working together for us to address the current economic situation through a broad-based political arrangement.
From yesterday's rundown of political play, it became apparent that the Kenyan political scene has not shared its backward textbook manipulation of the masses in pursuit of positions of power, all at the expense of voters who now become pawns in the dirty chess game of Kenyan politics. Munemeru, KUTV.
Now, Ugunja constituency could be another constituency that joins the long list of areas awaiting by-election after the area member of parliament Opiyo Wandayi was nominated to occupy energy and petroleum docket. KUTV's Salma Swale transverse constituencies and wards that have fallen victim of delayed election as a result of defunct Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission.
The constituency is about to be the third constituency anticipating by-elections. This will happen if Opiyo Wandayi, the MP, is approved by the National Assembly to be the Cabinet Secretary, Energy and Petroleum after being nominated by the President William Ruto on Wednesday.
The Honorable James Opiyo Wandayi, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum.
Opiyo Wandayi is expected to resign his MP position if he is approved to join the cabinet position. But what is going to happen to his constituency after he has resigned? This means there will be a vacant seat paving way for a by-election. However, this cannot happen anytime soon since the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC) is yet in the formation phase after the President signed the IEBC bill on the 9th of July 2024. The IEBC Commission is set to be constituted by a selection panel of 9 members involving 2 men and 2 women nominated by the Parliamentary Service Commission (PSC), 1 person nominated by the Law Society of Kenya (LSK), 2 persons nominated by the Inter-Religious Council of Kenya (IRCK), 2 representatives from the Political Parties Liaison Committee. The panel will invite interested candidates eyeing the positions of chairperson and commissioners. It will then forward 2 names to the President for the position of IEBC chairperson and 9 for commissioner position, where the President will appoint 1 for chairperson and 6 as members. The Speaker of the Parliament, Senate or the County Assembly is the one mandated by the Constitution to write to the chairperson of the Electorate Commission, who will have been appointed by the President, informing him or her of the vacancy. The chairperson will then gazette the date of the by-election, which should be done within 3 months from the date of the announcement. The reason as to why the by-elections cannot happen since the chairperson is not yet appointed. This comes after the retirement of the former chairman Wafula Chebukati and ex-commissioners Abdi Gulie and Boya Mulu in January. Ubunja constituency is expected to be the third constituency after Banisa in Mandera and Magarini of Kilifi County, together with Kisa East Ward in Kakamega County, Chewani Ward in Tana River County, Kakuyuni in Kilifi County, and Nyamira Ward, pending by-elections, with some having been delayed to close to Aya. Salma Swaleh, KUTV.
Now, reactions continue to vary across the country and among the cabinet secretaries themselves. This follows President William Ruto's nomination of the new batch of cabinet, and while some CS celebrate with optimism and happiness for the future, others harbor disappointment and uncertainty.
Array of reactions was witnessed yesterday and today following President William Ruto's pronouncement on the new bunch of cabinet secretaries nominees.
I have nominated the following persons for consideration and approval by the National Assembly
that incorporated leaders from different political affiliates. The likes of John Mbadi making turn in the national governance landscape, as he is expected to take up the position of Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury. Ali Hassan Joho making a comeback as Cabinet Secretary for Mining and Blue Economy.
John Mbadi Ngongo to the Ministry of National Treasury and Economic Planning. Hassan Ali Joho, Ministry of Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs.
Ali Hassan Joho, former Mombasa governor who has for some time been off the camera and inactive in the political space, made a comeback in the socials, expressing optimism and appreciating the president for the opportunity to serve in the mining docket. This seemed not to be his win alone, as his supporters in Mombasa joined him in the celebrations. A video circulating in the socials showing John Mbadi thrilled and excited alongside his friends as thousands of Homa Bay residents burst out in celebrations after the pronouncements. On the same note, UDA supporters in Busia County marched to the streets protesting against Ruto's new cabinet secretary bunch, claiming that he has neglected them and that he should consider having a Babu na Mwamba back. Amidst the celebrations and different reactions across the country and from the cabinet secretaries, it be noted that nominated cabinets awaits approval from the National Assembly for official commencements of their work. Ochieng Cynthia for KUTV News.
All right, that story by Ochieng Cynthia, of course, will be forming the basis of our discussion tonight, and of course we'll be engaging you in that just to give in your views and in regard to that. But first thing first, we are taking a very short break. When we come back, we'll be diving direct into that conversation. See you in a bit.
Lola is an app that gives you a chance to watch videos, listen to audios, and read articles wherever you are for free. Motivational stories, dramas, campus life, technology, lifestyle, adventure, sports, academics, jobs, entertainment, and more. Download Lola now on Play Store. All you need, you got Lola.
Kipindi hewani ni mitindo ya kipwani. Kama ilivyo kipindi hiki kinahusu nyimbo za tarab, chakacha, midwara, midundiko, bila kusahau mapishi. Ambao ndio uti wa mgongo wa pwani ya Afrika Mashariki.
Jamani, swahibu zangu mliopo maskani, hatuonani wenzangu, najua mwanitamani.
Hapa KUTV, nahoda mwendesha chombo cha baharini, yani ua linalonukia na kuvutia waridi tamu.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Auma Evans.
Right, welcome back and thank you for keeping it Primetime News. And of course, this is the time to usher you into this particular discussion. And of course, we're taking a look at the new nominated cabinet secretaries who should be part of the reconstituted cabinet secretaries after President William Ruto disbanded his cabinet just 2 weeks ago. And of course, now the process is to reconstitute new one. And remember, this comes at the backdrop of continuous, pressure and demand for accountability for some of the cabinet secretaries who are appointed. And of course, majority of Kenyans, and I'm talking about the young people, part of their demands was that the cabinet secretaries should be appointed based on competence and merit. And that led to the sacking of 21 cabinet secretary, with the exception of prime cabinet CS, that is Davadi Musalia Mudavadi, the prime cabinet secretary, and of course Minister for Foreign Affairs. And with that, we have seen some new names, and of course the familiar one. And there is talk in town about the familiar name, and if really President William Ruto considered some of the demands from the young Kenyans, the Gen Zs who are out in the streets demanding for accountability, for competent leaders in regard to that in all sectors. And that is the discussion that we are having tonight, of course, with my guest, Gideon Allen, political analyst and governance expert. Gideon, asante sana for making time.
Nimeshukuru sana. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm pretty fine. Let me just usher you into this particular discussion, Gideon. And of course, we have seen a lot of changes here and there, the return of old and familiar faces. At the same time, in equal measures, we have seen new faces being introduced to this proposed a bunch of cabinet secretaries that will form part of President William Ruto's the next cabinet after the sacking of 21 cabinet secretaries. What is your take on this from a young person's perspective? Do you think probably President has considered some of the demands that the Gen Zs were out in the streets demanding for some of these reforms? Do you think probably President has incorporated some of their demands, and this time round probably this is the reflection and a face of the competence that these young people are demanding for, and of course they're competent based and the whole approach of this the new crop of cabinet secretaries? What's your take on this?
Thank you very much. First of all, my name is Gideon Mereru, and I'm so much happy to participate today in the conversation regarding what is happening right now in the country. We have experienced, and it's something that we have witnessed, that recently there is demonstration that has been going on, and Kenyans have come to advocate for their rights, which actually is enshrined in our constitution, Article 37 of our constitution, which clearly indicates that Kenyans have the right to assemble, demonstrate, picket, and petition. And of course, we are the young generation, that is the Gen Z and the millennials, who come to advocate for their rights and say, we need accountability. And that was triggered by the so-called finance bill that actually was dropped by His Excellency the President when it was taken on his table to append the signature. Yes, the President again went ahead and reshuffled the cabinet. Why all this conversation that we are having? It has all originated from the finance bill, which later the young people say that, yeah, reshuffle the cabinet, which they never have hope with. And I think later the President did so, and actually trying to align with what the young people are demanding. But now the challenge is, after that, you are fired and you have reshuffled the whole cabinet, or else you have sent the whole cabinet home, all of them. But later, we see the same faces, some of the same faces coming back, and that triggered young people again, saying that, does it mean that our effort of going to street demonstrate was in vain? And I think that clearly opened up Kenyans' mind, and they were like, yes, what have you done? Because the whole cabinet went home, except the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, who is actually still the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs. Now, he's the only office that remains, but the rest went home. But later, we see some of the same faces coming back. And that clearly opened up Kenyans, and they were like, yes, why have you brought them back? And later on, there are some of the new faces that they were not in the first cabinet that came. And now to answer the question, like, what is the take on that? Because we have seen the new cabinet secretaries who have come on board. Of course, we have some of the new, and we have others who used to be the previous cabinet. What is the view of the young people? It's not business as usual. And of course, the young people were not only interested by sending the whole cabinet home, but send them home and bring the competent cabinet secretary who will be able to deliver the right thing to Kenyans, who will be able to watch the resources of Kenyans.
All right.
And I think the president has done so.
But Gideon, one may argue that the young people were invited to the table for discussion about the way forward. I'm talking about now the broad-based discussion. This is the national dialogue that President William Ruto and, of course, opposition leader Raila Odinga actually advocated for, where they were hoping maybe this discussion will take a broad-based approach where the young people, the politicians, and of course the civil society will come at a table and of course discuss about the way forward. But the absence of the young people in this table, now what kind of message does it send, and is it fair for the young people after turning down the invitation to actually come to the dining table? I'm talking about in terms of baking this the national cake. Is it fair for the young people now to go out in the street to lament at a time when they were given a chance and an opportunity to present, their grievances and of course make their voice count at the end of the day? Do you think probably it will be unfair criticism on the side of the government, given the fact that you extended the table?
Thank you very much. You also need to get clearly that the young people didn't welcome the idea of having a conversation or having to come and dialogue. The issue was, why did we first allow this mayhem to happen? Because we have witnessed that young people have lost lives. And that's something that we are forgetting. We are just welcoming the idea of a dialogue. But you forget that there are already young people who perished during this demonstration. There are young people who have been shot. So you find these young people are still bitter. And as we talk right now, some of the family are still even preparing to bury the heroes who died demonstrating for their rights. So, does it mean that because we have lost life, we can come into the conversation? That is not the issue. Of course, we can still come and argue. Bring your solution. Bring your issues that you are saying that they are there. But now the issue is, first of all, what is the action taken for the family and for the people who interfered the life of Kenya? That is the first question that we need to ask ourselves. Because coming to the table, it was open before. So does it mean that the conversation should be, we are now coming to the table because we have seen people losing lives? And that's the question that we need to ask ourselves. Again, these young people still have a doubt. I am a young person. And the reality is, we are coming into the table. We are coming to have a dialogue. Yet, the cabinet secretaries who have been presented to the Kenyans, the first bunch that we saw last week on that day, the young people, you tell me of a Gen Z, of a millennial, and yet we have competent, we have qualified young people who have skill in leadership. Of course, we can quote one of them who may actually have appeared, but now you find, have you engaged these young people? That is the first question that we need to ask ourselves. And the issue is, young people are not only interested in even coming to the dialogue, but does it mean that they have lost trust and like they don't want to come into the conversation until their issues have been resolved? So the issue is that...
Sorry to cut you short, Gideon, but by all means, I don't mean to be a devil's advocate, but if you followed President William Ruto's speech keenly yesterday, there is some of the demands that you're raising about the accountability as far as the police brutality is concerned, the compensation. These are some of the areas that President William Ruto actually touched on. And he said going forward there will be a broad-based, and thorough investigation so that those found capable of committing these atrocities will face the full force of the law. Well, when you talk about the lack of trust, does it mean that even the word from the head of state, you don't trust that at the end of the day, accountability and of course the promise that President William Ruto issued yesterday that all those who committed these police brutalities will face the full force of law, and it's just a matter of time before we see this? Don't you trust that?
Of course we trust, and of course we can as well argue in a very right way, because at the end of the day Kenya will remain to be our country. We are not only just saying that as young people, and allow me to use that term, that we are not coming into board. We will, because at the end of the day, we love our country, and we are here to defend our country. And young people, they have lost trust. That's something that I can say, because they are saying that after even we went to the streets, we said, let all the cabinet go home. But some of the faces that existed in the first cabinet came on board. So, they are arguing in a perspective that they are able to table and say, yes, you have done what you have said, what we have said. But again, you have still bring them on board and they are here. But at the same time, we can also applaud and of course maybe congratulate the president, because he said that I'm going to engage the whole people. And we have seen that yesterday, he has actually brought some of the opposition into the government to have a discussion. And I think that was, of course, a light showing that he's ready for the conversation. But that will not assure us, and unless some of the issues that we are saying have been implemented, and that's why we are saying that the conversation is not only just to bring them on board, but what is the action taken? And something that you have said about the police brutality, we have seen that, and of course, we have seen Kenyans who are taken to court, some of them are actually arrested, some of them are kidnapped. But when is it this day that we see a police officer going to be arrested? What is the investigation going on? So you find young people have no issue. They are saying that take an action. Let us see those police who use force that actually was not needed. Bring into account. Let them be questioned of what they have done. And I think from then, these young people have trust, and of course they will be able to gain trust and have a conversation and now engage in the conversation. But nevertheless, we welcome the idea. We are not shying away from that, because now, at the end of the day, this is our country. But when we are coming into the conversation, let it not be like one-man conversation, but the entire conversation for all Kenyans. They are saying we are leaderless. Nobody is there to guide us. This is a group of people who have come together to say, this is our issue, and nobody is there to defend them. Why? When somebody is leading them, interest may develop, and that's why they are deciding to work as a team. So on my view, we welcome the idea. But when we are welcoming the idea, let these pertinent issues that we have being addressed. Of course, you have engaged the conversation. You have engaged the other leaders, even bringing them on board. And that's something that we can attest to. We now have some of the opposition leaders on board. But the issue is, have we engaged everybody? Where are the young people? Because this is not about even opposition.
All right.
This is not about the political party.
Okay, and you have actually raised a very important question, that where are the young people? And I believe the first reason why this particular conversation we are having, and of course the reason that led to this, the sacking of at least 21 cabinet secretaries, is because of some of the demands that were raised by the young people. And of course, one of them, they wanted, accountability, and even some were demanding for these young people to be given a space in this, the governance and affairs of, our nation. And that's fine. Now that this has happened, and of course it's fair to say, when you look at the constitution, the component of these, the cabinet secretaries, it's fair to say that we can only pinpoint a few young people in this particular, the new cabinet that will be constituted in just, coming days. And that is fine. Now the big question is, what is next for the young people? What is the course of action now that it is happening already? We know names that have been nominated for this, the CS, the cabinet secretaries. So the question that begs, what next for the young people? Does it mean it is the end of road, or what is your plan?
Thank you very much. And I wish to say this and let it be in record. It may be my opinion, because this is a group of young people who has no leader. This is a group of people who are fearless. This is a group of people who are leaderless. They are actually guided by their own principles. And even you may ask me that question, and I've just even stated before that, this is our motherland. This is our country. We reach the bad situation we are right now. I feel we need to impress, we need to welcome the conversation. We need now to sit together, which now I'm saying from my personal point, that actually the conversation is...
All right, so we do apologize for that, and of course that it's fair to say that this particular discussion about the reconstitution of the new cabinet that will help President William Ruto to implement his agenda of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. In regard to this, we have seen some of the old and of course new faces into this proposed cabinet secretary's position, and in line with this, a lot of things are happening, and of course we just have to wait and see how the event will unfold in regard to this new crop of cabinet secretaries, given the fact that young people are grieved, and of course some are not happy with the names that have been presented forward, and of course they want more in regard to this. So it's just a matter of time to see how the event will unfold. Does it mean that they will go back to the street and of course demand for more reforms in regard to matters to do with governance, and of course the crop of leaders that they want in the next government that will be formed by, in the next cabinet, I beg your pardon, that will be formed by President William Ruto. Has been very quite interesting discussion that we are having with my guest Gideon, the governance and politics analyst in that regard, and of course we'll endeavor to pursue. And remember, the discussion still continues, and you can talk to us on all of our social media platforms, and we'll be sure to sample all of your feedback at the tail end of our bulletin tonight. So let's continue with our bulletin. Now, President William Ruto today defended his choice of cabinet secretaries nominees, insisting that Kindiki will remain to be his cabinet secretary nominee for the Interior Administration, praising Kindiki for a job well done in dealing with banditry in the troubled Kerio Valley, as Ernest Karani now reports.
Kutv Kindiki will continue to serve as the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Administration, according to President William Ruto, who praised him for his handling of the bandits' attack and internal security in general. Ruto, accompanied by his deputy, declared that they would cooperate with the opposition in order to form a united government. The Kenya Kwanza government previously stated that its cabinet will not contain members of the opposition, a decision that has left many Kenyans in question after the president included Azimio members, particularly from ODM party, in his cabinet yesterday. The president also acknowledged the area MP Honorable Murugara, George Gitonga's choice to vote yes for the finance bill, stating that it was a smart decision for sourcing money for the county projects.
Jana nimeunda serikali ya kuunganisha Wakenya wote, kwa sababu sasa nimesema hakuna haja ya kubaguana tena. Si tunataka kulipa ushuru pamoja, si tunataka kulipa madeni pamoja, si tunataka kufanya maendeleo pamoja, si watu wote wanalipa ushuru. Sasa tuungane, tutengeneze serikali ambayo itaunganisha Wakenya na itushughulikie sisi wote, mambo ya maendeleo iweze kusonga mbele.
The president further thanked the people for sourcing him cabinet nominee Ministry of Interior Kutv Kindiki, noting his effort towards countering terrorism and bandits across the country.
Mimi nawashukuru tena, mumenipatia Profesa Kithure Kindiki. Huyu profesa ndio waziri wetu wa usalama, na huyu jamaa amefanya kazi mzuri. Kule magaidi wamekwama, kule Lamu amepanga, kule North Rift hata wale bandits wamehama.
Huyu mjamaa anatosha ama atoshi bwana? Aendelee asiendelee?
Under the same breath, the nominee for Interior and National Administration Ministry Kutv Kindiki thanked the president for granting him another shot in his cabinet and reassured of his commitment towards fulfilling the government's agenda. The deputy president also urged the residents to keep off from illicit brew, as it is one of the major issues affecting the youth. Ernest Karani, KUTV.
All right, now let's resume with the discussion, and of course we are talking about now the matters to do with the new cabinet secretaries, the reconstitution of the next cabinet. And of course, Gideon, this is a very, quite interesting discussion, and in regard to even the story that we have just, run right now. So what is your take, even as we wind up this discussion?
Thank you very much. Let me just conclude, because I was giving my input on what we need to do. And of course, I was saying that the fact remains that this is our country. This is our house. And at the same time, we reach the status of our house, we need to embrace it and say that it's our house and protect our country. It's now my wish that I can say, let's welcome the idea. And I'm speaking this one in our authority that I'm just saying my view, and of course request those who are implementing this thing. Let us come the idea, let us come and reason together, because the fact remains that the cabinet has already been appointed. Now it's just waiting for the vetting by the National Assembly. If now the National Assembly view that some of the people have not met the qualification to lead us, so it's now the turn of the president to appoint another minister or another cabinet secretary. So it's now the high time that we need to forget about the demonstration, because a lot is happening, that we are losing in the economy, that we are losing life, and of course at the end of the day, we are the people losing but not gaining. So that is something that I can say. Another thing, we may not be qualified to advise the president, but it's the high time that it's not only just losing life, it's not only just waiting for that moment that people are killed, then action taken. Because when I tell you, do you have the statistics of those people who have been killed during this demonstration? A very big number that actually qualify for Kenyans to enjoy the life of freedom, which is in our constitution. So let us not wait for that last minute, but of course have intelligence, have people who are competent. And that's why, if at all we knew all this will happen, then the solution could have come earlier. But now we are trying to heal something that has already happened. So, on my side, let us also incorporate young people, because we are qualified. We have competent people who are outside, but they are there. They are just yapping. The only thing that we can do to them is kidnap, go harass them. That is not the solution. Let's have them on board. Let's reason together, because I believe they are advocating for justice, and they are also trying to protect our country. Another thing, as I also conclude, we need to appreciate this group of millennial and Gen Z, because I feel they have done the best ever since Kenya born, because we only rely the opposition party, which is actually the party to watch what the government is doing. But right now, the hope and the actually strength is in the Gen Z and the millennials, who are actually there to say, we are not just demonstrating for anything, but we want accountability. We want our resources to be taken care. We want our resources to be aligned and actually fill the gap that those people who have self-interest have created. So on my side, that is what I can say.
All right.
And as I've said, we may not be qualified to advise the president, but we are actually calling them on board to listen the cry and the wish of Kenya.
Fair enough. Thank you so much, Gideon, political analyst and governance expert, for your insight about this very important discussion that touches on the matter and the heart and soul of the governance of our great republic, Kenya. Asante sana for making time, Gideon. All right, now we are taking yet a very short break. When we come back, of course, we'll be updating you with the rest of stories.
Kaunti maarufu kwa kuzalisha maziwa na ukuzaji wa majani chai. Pia, serikali ya kaunti inawahimiza wakulima kukumbatia mitindo mingine ya kilimo kuzidisha mapato.
Kama kuna kikundi moja inafanya biashara ya kuuza kuku, hao pia tumewafadhili kuwafunza jinsi ya kuhandle zile kuku kwa sababu wanaleta kwa wingi.
Haya yote tunakuletea katika Boresha Kilimo, toleo la kaunti ya Bomet.
Kilimo ni nguzo kubwa kwa ujenzi wa taifa.
Shaka mtazamaji popote ulipo unapokuwa ukitazama Safina Show
inang'oa nanga sasa hivi. Ungana nami Albanas Mwania, nahodha wa Safina Show, nikutoe ng'ambo ya pili hadi ufuoni. Safina Show, sauti ya matumaini.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Auma Evans.
That's right, you're still watching KUTV Primetime News, and of course, let's continue updating you. Wednesday, 24th of July was a special day for KUTV and radio services after KUTV's health reporter Eliud Mtwiri was recognized for his excellent piece titled Ukimwi Si Zimwi, that sheds light on resilience of young people living with HIV in the slums of Nairobi who are embracing the use of ARVs to curb the spread of the virus. Take a look.
July 25th was a special day for young health journalist reporters for their excellent storytelling ability.
So our second awardee in the TV category is Eliud Edwin Mutwiri from KUTV.
KUTV's Eliud Mtwiri was recognized for his exemplary storytelling prowess in his story titled Ukimwi Si Zimwi that highlighted the resilience of youths living with HIV in the informal settlement of Nairobi who are embracing the use of ARVs to curb the spread of the virus. Ian Oyondi was the camera person for the piece. Emmanuel Mwendwa and Benjamin Jue edited the video, and Eric Mshila worked on the graphics.
I'm very honored to be part of the team that won these awards, and this is only just a milestone to celebrate impactful storytelling. Maybe just to mention the story that I did that was nominated was a story on the resilience of youth living with HIV in Nairobi, especially in the slum areas of Nairobi, and just how they are being empowered to adhere to their regimen, that is the ARVs, this being just one of the steps towards curbing HIV totally, because we understand that they say over time, as you keep on using the ARVs, the viral loads are suppressed, and then the transmission rate is also.
The young journalists have been encouraged to break the traditional way of storytelling and tilt their lenses and keyboard to stories that transform the society.
But rather looking at journalism from an angle of solutions, not just telling stories in the negative way, because that's what the media is very used to, telling the negative stories and saying it, I don't know, they say it's what bleeds that reads, but it's very integral as well that we tell positive stories that not only enlighten societies but also inform and also drive change in the society.
At least to make the media more powerful and more informed, to give us what we can consume as more interesting than just making an article on health and then you just read the first paragraph and forget about it.
The organizers lauded the significant role media and individual journalists who have dared to make a difference in their writing and reporting play. This is the second recognition Eliud Mutwiri and KUTV and radio services has received in just a span of 3 months for its excellent journalistic piece for shedding light on stories that transform the society through robust editorial policy that focuses on topics such as health and environment, education, research and climate change, agriculture and food security, business and technovation. Alright, it's time for sporty action. Shuja's dream of lifting the Olympic crown were cut prematurely following the winless run in the group stage matches at Stade de France in Paris, France. The Kenya Sevens rugby team fell to Samoa in their last match of Pool B after back-to-back defeats against Argentina and Australia in their first 2 opening fixtures. The team will now drop to the positioning playoffs later on Thursday, where they will play for bragging rights. Alright, we promised and we delivered. Our debt is paid. Many thanks for the men and women behind the scene, and for you, our esteemed viewers, for always keeping us a company in the last 57 minutes or so. My good name is Auma Evans. Samuel Kelo has been our sign language interpreter tonight. Until next time, do have a lovely night. Bye bye for now.